hola, hello, bună ziua, hola, tansi, gao, and happy International Women's Day. My name is Maria. I'm one member of the small and mighty team at Kids Up Front Edmonton, and I'll be starting us off today with a land acknowledgement and a quick introduction of today's event. Kids Up Front Edmonton respectfully acknowledges that the land we are on is Treaty 6 territory, a traditional gathering place and home for diverse Indigenous peoples, including the Cree, Blackfoot, Métis, Nakota Sioux, Iroquois, Dene, Ojibwe, Saulteaux, Anishinaabe, Inuit, and many others whose histories, languages, and cultures continue to influence and enrich this land and the communities within it. We are one such community, made up of a diversity of people, and we are grateful to be within it. As an organization, we are committed to learning, unlearning, and relearning in the name of reconciliation and for the sake of all kids and families on this territory. Our mission at Kids Up Front is to create joy, promote inclusion, and strengthen communities. We do this every day by providing access to enriching experiences in arts, culture, recreation, sport, and more. We're gathered here today for our latest enriching experience, Our Virtual Neighborhood, presented by TD. COVID-19 drastically changed the lives of children and families across all regions of Canada. Kids Up Front created the Kids at Home program as an extension of support to provide access to meaningful experiences while we were at home. An important part of this program is Our Virtual Neighborhood. Our virtual neighborhood connects children and youth and families through virtual events just like this one that share positive messaging, creates new interests, and promotes inclusion, all while educating and inspiring growth around important topics and increasing connections to our community. So, in celebration of this year's International Women's Day, today's Our Virtual Neighborhood is centering around women in community building. We're sitting in conversation with a diverse group of women who are making their mark on the community and beyond. And we are so grateful to have Carrie Dahl as our conversation moderator. Carrie is a professional MC, moderator, speaker, and executive public speaking coach. She brings with her a 20-year career in television news journalism. She is a strong contributor to many great initiatives and has been honored as Edmonton's Woman of the Year and as one of the top citizens in the province of Alberta. She continues to be fiercely dedicated to connecting people through stories well told, through her online courses and her podcast, and now this event. So lucky to have her here today. Welcome, Carrie.
Oh, Maria, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Hello, everybody, and thank you as well to Kids Up Front for creating such a powerful and necessary event that centers around International Women's Day. So on that note, I say, ladies, friends, today I stand with you as we celebrate and we honor women who are having a huge impact on our community and the world around us as they work to create change for the better. Before I begin and dig into this rich conversation, I want to acknowledge the heartbreak and the strife our Ukrainian neighbors, friends, and family are living through. We stand with you today, and we pray that this situation comes to a swift and peaceful ending. Friends, today we dig into community. How do we create it, build it, and make it better for all of us of all ages and generations and locations around the world, in Edmonton and beyond? Because in a virtual community, we connect way beyond the city that we live in. How do we create it for future generations? Well, today I'm going to lean on three very powerful community leaders who are all accomplished in their own right to engage in a conversation that will be rich in insight. Let me welcome those three ladies to this conversation, beginning first of all with Catherine Wu, who is the Chief Uptime Officer at Proactive IT. Catherine, hello to you and welcome. It's
Hi, Carrie.
beautiful face. Also welcoming this morning Tracy Berry, who is the founder and principal of Grow Women Leaders and Foundation. Tracy, welcome to you.
Thank you very much. I'm doing good.
Thank you. And Megan Elliott is the Senior Program Manager at Community AIM. Hello, Megan. How are you? Welcome to this conversation.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Ladies, I want to begin here. And it always is a difficult place to begin because when you are accomplished in your own right, sometimes it's difficult to talk about what you have done and what you have accomplished. But today, I want you to give us your elevator speech. Begin first of all with your work, what you do to bring in that paycheck every month, but then add to it how that work feeds your passion, that extension of your work, because I've read all your bios. I know what you do for work, but I also know that the list that comes after work, the boards, the organizations, and beyond is much longer than what you give to your work. So I'm going to begin with you, Catherine. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your work and what you do beyond that that feeds your soul.
Thank you, Carrie. I'm Catherine Vu. I have Proactive IT Management for almost 20 years, and we are an on-demand outsourced IT company that focuses on helping small business with their technology. Our why is to create positive impact for people through the use of technology. And I'm a proud Edmontonian, been here for 40 years, and I love our community. I am chair of the 1,000 Women for STEM with Norquest. I am on the Explore Edmonton board, which is focused on the visitor economy. I'm also on 3 other boards. So lots of board work, lots of fundraising, lots of charity events that I attend. And yeah, I believe that be the change you want to see in the world and to lead by example. So that's how my work on community is just show people what's out there and get them excited to join me in the movement.
In the movement, we're going to dig in more of that momentarily, but I'm going to move on to Megan Elliott. Megan, tell us a bit about your line of work and your extended line of volunteerism.
So, Community AIM empowers citizens with disabilities, and we work towards fostering friendships and welcoming inclusion and inspiring communities. We establish that by organizing different community events to bring the community together that involves all. When we say inclusion, we are not only bringing the individual with the disability to the table, we're bringing them into the conversation. We're bringing them into the event. They are a part of every possible piece to be able to be included within the community. Our focus currently is getting the community involved and being together again. So we've been doing a lot of safe ways of bringing the community together. So we've been doing the drive-ins. We've been doing the get-togethers, but spaced out, but spaced enough that they can still communicate with each other, bringing all of those together. Community is big for us. Without our community, our individuals that we support would not flourish. Mm-hmm. And so we work towards complete community. And for me, I've been in the community for 48 years. So we have a strong community. COVID did break that apart, and we have to bring it back together. And so that's what our drive is currently.
Thank you very much, Megan. I appreciate your perspective. Mm-hmm. Tracy, do you want to pick it up from there and explain more about your line of work and how you contribute to your community? One second.
Founder.
There we go, Trace.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Now
Yes.
I can.
Founder and lead contributor to Girl Women Leader. We are an organization that is a career leadership development that, as a result of what we do, we are able to help women, especially minority and immigrant women, get hired and advance their career. And of course, I've been doing this because of my experience as an immigrant to Canada, how definitely knowing that immigrant women needed support. So I had to, re-strategize my career towards, helping women access more opportunity in Canada, because there was just a lot of opportunity that was out there. And I saw that a lot of immigrant women were able to access it. Then I thought I can be a bridge through all the programs that we've developed. And of course, for a while now, it didn't just start with us just beginning the program. It was as a result of the project that we did sometime 4 years ago that we're starting to build our program on top of that. So we're doing a lot of partnership with organization companies, and of course, I do a lot giving back to the community. I do a lot of mentorship for university. So in terms, those are the things that I'm currently doing right now. For me, I just want to leave the world better than how I met it. And of course, for my kids, I want it to be a positive place where they can keep, thriving as they go on. So I'm just trying to do the best that I can, and hoping that the world become a better place, especially for women, to be more really included, and not just talking about women. There's more focus on minority women, which I know that when we talk about equity, more work has to be done there. So yeah, focus on more EDIA with my work, which is equity, diversity, inclusion, accessibility for everyone. And through that, I hope that everyone belongs in the opportunity that Canada has called to work for. So yeah,
Oh.
that's pretty much.
Beautiful perspective, Tracy. I appreciate you. You open the door to so many different conversations, and there's a number of directions I would love to go in. But I want to start here because as listening to each one of you, I'm hearing the words volunteerism. I'm hearing I sit on this board. I'm hearing I'm involved in that. For everybody listening today, I want you to think about a story connected to your work volunteering. I mean, my whole career, I emceed countless events. I volunteered my time because I said, when you give your time away, your world is richer, much richer. You get back in ways that you could never anticipate. And my volunteer work always did that for me. I want each of you to dig into the volunteer work that you do and tell me about a couple of organizations, whether it's sitting on a board or volunteering with an organization, and why people should get involved in that line of work. It's often difficult. You're busy at work, you're balancing a million different things. But that volunteer work is so important to our community and important to your life and the lives of other people. So if you will, think of a story that you can share with us about your volunteer work and how it impacted your life, because there's many people that are listening and watching to this right now, and maybe they're thinking, I want to get involved. I'm not sure how. I'm not sure what I should do. Ladies, give us some perspective. Tracy, I'm going to begin with you.
Oh, that's absolutely fine. For me, I'm going to be talking from the perspective of being an immigrant here in Canada and how I actually advocate for volunteer opportunity for immigrant women. As many may know, immigrants, they come to this country, many of them having a lot of background, but when they come to Canada, unfortunately, many of them have to start from the bottom of like career wise. And then when they're trying to integrate back into the community, many of them, being that I work with them as a strategist, find themselves being really challenged getting back into the field that they usually will. My advice to them usually would be, and for me, I will also raise the conversation around, like, I come from a country whereby I didn't really recognize what volunteer was, like volunteering was. So coming to another country, volunteering was a strange word. Like this is giving away your time for free, as
Mhm.
Carrie you already said. So it's really challenging not having that mentality of wanting to give your time away for free. Many would rather want to focus on doing something that is going to produce money for them. But once I saw that in order for you to really get back into like a career that you want or beginning something special in Canada, it's giving your time away first to learn one, the experience, which many employers is going to be needing from you, and also it's also an opportunity that's going to open a lot of doors for you. So I
Mhm.
just go around and I tell women that because it actually helped me. I came to Canada. I wanted to do it on my own. Wanted to like advance my career, go into work. But when I was able to start volunteering my time to give to the community, that is when I saw that the doors of opportunity started opening. And once I discovered that through my own experience, I just go around telling our candidates, the women that participate with us here, we call them candidates, that you know what, and of course, because we connect them to employers right now, and I just tell them that that's the way to go. And emphasizing on that, seeing the results, I am able to now let these women, like they are now seeing that majority of the time it's working. So my own story of doing the project through volunteering my time has paved the path that I'm currently in. And I've also seen that the women that we work with, number of them has gotten into the place in their career through starting with volunteer. So I think it's a very essential component that people should know that in order to get to where you want to be, you have to learn to volunteer. And most of the time, you have to give your time away for free. So yeah, it's
And
crucial
I
for
couldn't
sure.
agree more, Tracy. And when you have lived it, and you can connect with them on a whole different level because you can tell them, I know what you're going through because I've been there. I've been there,
Correct.
right?
Yes, yes, indeed.
Yeah, that's how I started my volunteering, was when my brother was born 30 years ago with Down syndrome. We're pretty sheltered, you go to work, you go to school, that kind of stuff, but we didn't know how to raise a Down syndrome baby. And so I said to my mom, like, the only way we're going to be able to do this is to get involved in the Down syndrome community, Inclusion Alberta, and then kind of start small. Like, so I always say, if you want to volunteer, start with something you're passionate about or something you want to learn, because then it makes it easier for you to feel comfortable and confident that you have something to contribute, because sometimes energy is so important in a group. And Edmonton, I mean, we are a city of 1 million, but we are so connected because of our volunteerism. And like being an immigrant also, and being a business owner, it's all about the network, right? And when you volunteer, you get connected to people that you would not normally run into unless
Yeah.
you're part of that. And over the years, I've just learned to, instead of scatter my volunteering all over, which is what I used to do when I'm young, to really focus on the organization that speaks to me at that time, and then give back and sit on board, because then you see the background of why certain companies or organization are run that way. And it's just been such an enriching experience, and the network I've built is phenomenal. And it's all about who you know, right? Like connecting. Oh, have you heard of this? And I've been here and I've never heard of Community AIM, and I thought I know a lot of organizations that focus on people with disability, because like I support clients like that. So
Yes.
I'm just happy to be here and now get to know Megan, and I'm definitely going to be Googling and exploring that, right? Because it's
And Megan, I know this, Catherine will do that. She is that type of person where she'll start Googling you and then calling you and emailing you, and all for the better. Before I switch gears into you, Megan, Catherine, I need to know this, and I want you to explain, how do you balance it? Because you are very busy work-wise, and your commitments with volunteerism go way beyond that. And you, Tracy, both talked about that. How do you balance it all?
I
you
think
know
for
what? Yeah.
me,
Oh, sorry.
Okay, Megan, hop in.
I was the same as Catherine. So Catherine, we're very much alike. Also, I was raised to volunteer. I started volunteering when I was 5 years old, dressing up as a clown for the Kiwanis group for Apple Days. So,
I love
yeah,
it.
yeah. So, yeah, I have volunteered. I was part of the ACT Telerama, and
Oh,
Wayne Gretzky and my brother were best of buddies, right? So,
wow.
and his past relationship as well.
I
So
loved watching the ACT Telerama, by the way. And, I
right,
grew up watching it. It was big, big TV when I was a kid. I'd wait for
yeah,
it. Anyway, I digress. Go ahead,
yeah,
Megan.
and the collecting of the pennies so you can make it on TV to make your donation. As
Yes.
a child, that was the bonus.
Yes.
But I've volunteered for so many things for so long, and I still continue, and I love it. But you're right, the balancing of it can be difficult. You're,
Yeah.
working full time, you've got your own family. What I've done to get through it is I get my family involved. So they're part of it too.
Oh,
So we spend it together. We volunteer together. It might not be that I volunteer on an organization, but maybe I volunteer for something that's a day event, and we go and we help at that. So we do it as a family, and sometimes
brilliant.
that's the way to juggle through it.
Yeah, I have
Love
no
that
kids, so I
approach.
definitely more flexibility in that. But then you do, because if you're so good at volunteering, you get asked a lot too. So it's learning to say no. And this year, I'm proud to say I'm saying no and really being like I don't want to just
That's big.
volunteer.
I have to hop in, Catherine. That's big to be able to say that. And I know a lot of women go, but to say I'm
Yeah,
proud to be able to say no, because that means you're honoring yourself and your time too. And we have to bring that into the conversation as we celebrate International Women's Day. So
yeah,
go
it's
ahead on
setting
that.
boundaries, right? Like I heard a phrase that's like when someone gives you boundaries, thank them because they're trying to include you in their life instead of excluding you with boundaries. So learning to set boundary is hard for me and for women in general, I think. And just to be proud when you say no, but then support them some other ways. So I like to get my friends involved in my volunteering and just kind of promote. And then, so if I leave an organization, I like to replace myself with someone else. So that's how I've kind of built capacity beyond me.
Another great approach. Tracy, go
Absolutely.
ahead.
Sorry, seems to be snow blowing outside, so it's kind of making noise. So yeah.
That's our
Just
city.
yes. Just to add to what Catherine already said, for me, finding your purpose is going to help you streamline volunteering, right? And for me, I just feel now I volunteer for something that I'm passionate about. That's because I found my purpose. So it is important to volunteer, but I also also advise people to find something that you are passionate about. Because
Mhm.
once you're passionate about it, it's easier for you to get it done, right? And I think I learned that through my own work right now, and every volunteer that I do right now is around what I do because I know I have a reason why I'm doing it. Because I don't have a lot of experience. When I initially started my work, I had to learn, I had to educate myself. And I know that I didn't have the time because I was a mother, I was a partner, and I have so many things on my plate. And I know also strategically, volunteering is going to help me learn about the community, learn
Yeah.
about the country that I'm loving right now, the community in Edmonton that I'm loving. So I had to strategically balance that to say, as a result of doing this, this is what I expect from it. And that is what I also advise our participant here to be very careful what they say yes to. Volunteering, yes, we say that, but be strategic to know where you want to be at. You know what I mean? Be strategic that when you
Mhm.
do this, what you're going to be getting in return is the experience and exposure and the connection. So be very strategic, and of course, doing what you're passionate about. And because I just teach what I learn, and because it
Oh,
worked for me, I see that it's going to work for them, and I tell them as it is. So number one rule is find what you're passionate about, Your volunteering is going to be the thing that is going to guide you to learn the skills and the knowledge to give back to what you're able to do.
Mhm.
So that's just from my hands here.
I love that you zeroed in on that. Catherine, you left us and you came back, but that's like the beauty of our virtual world. It just happens. I just wanted to acknowledge that. But the whole thing about passion, Tracy, it opens up a whole new conversation. And like for me, I always said, I was a journalist who read the 6 o'clock news for some 20 years, and I got paid for a hobby because I was so passionate about my work. I loved my work. I loved going and reading the news. It was a passion of mine. It was a hobby. I want to reflect back on some of those years because I want to talk about how we have progressed, or have we, and how. So there's a couple ways I can phrase that question. I remember the first time I was invited to sit on a board, and it was a big one. And I walked into that boardroom, and it was all suits. I was the only female. No, wait, there was another female. She was in there taking notes for the board meeting. So other than that, I was the only female. And I walked into that room, and I'll never forget that experience because I don't often get nervous with anything or rattled, but that experience rattled me because I looked around the table and there was 20 plus suits around that table, all men. And I'm like, what is wrong with this picture? Like, why am I the only woman in this room? This is not right. And that stayed with me till today. And that was like some 10 years ago. We've made progress. Our world has changed a lot, even over the last 2 years since COVID has set in. There's been so many movements. We are moving in positive directions. I look back on that experience, and I never felt that being a woman stopped me from doing anything. I just kept pushing forward. And sometimes I'd push against all odds because I believed in what I had to bring to the table. I believed that my voice mattered. I want to ask each one of you to think about your own journey. Have you ever been hindered because you were a woman? Have you ever been said no to because you're a woman? How did you push through that? How did you get beyond that? How can we empower others that are listening right now? Tracy,
So
you're smiling. You have something to, okay. Oh, Catherine, go ahead. If you're jumping in, you've got something
no,
to say.
I was just reflecting on my first board experience too. Probably almost 15 years ago, getting invited to come in, and not only am I the only woman, I am the youngest in the room by at least 20 something years. And that intimidation that you feel like, what do I have to contribute? You're all way more mature, and obviously in my mind has more experience and stuff. But I think sometimes the limiting factor for us being women is ourselves, because we think we're not good enough, that we don't have anything to contribute. And why do people want to hear from us? And from me practicing speech writing with you, like learning how to to speak, public speaking, I hate that, right? Like I just really felt insecure in that. But going through what you have, it's just like it's preparing. So when I feel now, and same thing with Thousand Women, being the chair of Thousand Women, I've been asked, and I hesitated because I've never chaired a board or anything like big, right? So it was really intimidating. I feel like I wasn't ready, but I don't think you're ever ready, and you just have to put your hat in the ring and said, you know what, this is scary, but I'm going to do my best and I'm going to give it 100%. And that has been what has pushes me to the next level. It's and it is hard when you're the only woman in the room to speak up and feel like you're heard. But sometimes it's us, right? And now if I see that happening, it's like being in a networking group where you see someone standing. It's just us reaching out and say, hey, come on into the group, and just do that first thing, because I think that's what kind of be the bridge to welcome people and notice. And that's a skill women have that we really need to be aware of. Like, notice the room, because we notice the room, we get the vibe, and then we can make it happen for others. So that's how I feel like, because I'm not shy, I can do that. So I look around the room and see who's kind of sat in back, and then invite them to come into the circle, join, speak up, and that's just something we need to kind of not focus on our what we're not good at, but what we're good at,
Oh, yes.
and welcome people. And that's what women, the power of women is. It's being collaborator, empathy, welcoming, and helping other feel comfortable, because we've been there, right? Like Tracy's saying, like she's done it. Now she's saying, I'll show you the way, and this is. But people have to listen too, right? So
That's true. I was just going to add to that because Catherine and Carrie, this is why I do what I do. Just that as a woman, the ability to observe, and you see a picture, you can say something is wrong here, right? It could be better, right? And that's what happened when I did my project, national project that I thought was really needed at that time, because I didn't just want to really sit down and view the picture the way I was seeing it in a society. I just thought I want to find more. I want to find what was really happening there, so I can have my own reason, because I didn't just want to go by but they say, or this is what I say. So after Project 150 and wanting to change what was happening, especially for the minority women, immigrant women, to say, why would they come to Canada? Canada, that we know, many of us know, that is a land of opportunity. And when you get here, you're not really assessing that opportunity. I want to know why, because I was among the women that was trying to find the grant and trying to really enjoy this Canadian dream. And when I began that, and I started to see, I wanted to, what I decided to do there was to just hear stories from accomplished immigrant women. I wanted to get them to see, what have you done differently? Because it's like many are called, few are chosen. I was only seeing few that were being chosen, but I thought I could change the narrative a little bit. Like if I collected those stories, I'm going to use those stories to educate women and immigrant women that were still trying to find themselves. And when I started gathering those women together and I started seeing the picture, I was like, oh my God, something can be done. Assessing opportunity was what I saw. There were so many opportunity out there, just as what Carrie said. You walked into a room and you see all these men sitting, and there are a few women there. There's opportunity, that's why they are there. But why is it that there are no women there? So that was like what I was trying to do there, to say, oh my goodness, when I bring all these hundreds of women together, only a few of them are maybe accomplished to what they really want to do, and there are like 99% of them still wanting to know, and the information was out there. And of course, the picture is up to, I know for Carrie, that was like 10 years ago. Unfortunately, before the pandemic, and even the pandemic has even made it worse, it is still the picture that we see, especially minority women. And I feel as a woman, I do what I do today to bridge that gap, because there is opportunity out there. There's so much that we can do, and that is what I'm actually currently doing. Because to still walk into women that comes here with a lot of opportunity to be applying for a job, I'm just saying right now, even though they have masters and they have degrees and all that, they are not able to get that. And I get into the place to be the mediator, to say, look at this woman as an immigrant woman, and to still see that there's a lot of men staying at the top row. It still baffles me. So what I'm trying to say here, that it's not just in a board level, it is in employment level. And there's a lot of women that are out there that needs more opportunity. And the world is changing, but apparently we still have to fix that gap of, creating more room for women, especially for this Women International Women's Day. I feel, yeah, it's not just 10 years ago. And especially for minority women, because I talk about that, when we talk about inequality that we see today, we should also think of inequality within inequality. And for minority women, this is where we fit in. And as a woman, when we walk into a place and we see that the picture is not clear, and we don't just stay quiet, we have to speak up. And this is where our work at Grow is kind of deriving for, being that bridge and also advocating to have more opportunity extended to women, especially minority women.
Oh, Tracy, thank you for sharing that. Incredible.
Tracy nailed it when she said inequality amongst inequality. For me, that is a big thing for us. We even we work with individuals with disabilities, which already don't have equality in almost every aspect of their life. But I've even found it in female individuals with disabilities now that employers are leaning more towards providing employment. It might not be the best employment, but they are hiring the male individuals versus the female. And we still are finding that today. So it's very, very strong that when she says that, she's 100% nailed it on the head that it still exists. And so my goal, I came into the executive director role only not less than a year ago. um, it, I was hesitant to go into that role because not every agency, I'm in a majority, the higher end management executive directors are male. And so I'm going, they're never going to listen to me. They're never going to see that. I go look at, Chambers and Rotary, and it's a lot of men. And I'm going, they're not going to listen to me. My board basically had to convince me to take the position because I felt that being a woman, I was not going to be do any justice for our population because nobody would listen to me to assist them. And because my passion is with them and I want them to have the support and I want them to be develop into amazing individuals, I always have that back thought is, have I said the right thing? Did I do the right thing? Did they even listen to me because I am a woman?
Yeah, but that's kind of like what I was saying is that's your limitation that you're putting that on yourself,
Right.
and the board has to convince you that you're the right fit, right? And so I think that's part of why I want to be on shows like this is to mentor and show people that yes, you can be there. And I love Norquest's new tagline, we are who we include. And just think about
Beautiful.
that, right? Like
Yeah, it's powerful.
it's just so powerful. It's so simple, but
I want to hop in right here, Catherine, and Megan touched on this briefly, and I think it's important, and I don't want to dwell on it, but just to share a bit of some of the challenges that you have faced in your journey to date. We talked a bit about board work and how we walked into the rooms and they took our breath away by what we saw. Any other challenges that you faced, any one of you ladies faced in your career, in your journey, because you were a woman, and how did you deal with them? How did you overcome them?
Okay. I could say something. Um, for me personally, is getting to work um, double or even triple than maybe my counterpart most of the time is what I've seen like it's challenging. You give it all. You see that maybe people see that too. You know what I mean? And you just know that tendency of you have to prove yourself times two or times three of what usually is required. It's what I say that I feel is what I see challenge. I am challenged by, and also, and how I deal with that is just because I also said when I started is like when you do what you're passionate about, it never seems like you're working. So it's making sure that whatever you are aligned with is something that you are really passionate about, and you can just wake up and do it, and that alone will help you keep going even when you're challenged. You know what I mean? So yeah, I feel for my hand is uh, um, just creating more room for people to, especially being a wife, being a mother now, trying to start something that you've never done before, but you saw that there was this challenge, and you want to bring a solution to it, and now seeing that, oh my goodness, it's not as rosary as it is, and of course, and just because I'm passionate about it, I keep going. But unfortunately, not all women will be in that position or might have that strength to keep persevering. So it's just like for me, I just hope that other women have the perseverance to always push through. Because that's what I do, and I feel because I'm passionate about what I'm doing, I keep going, and my passion is going to keep me through. create on the different camps. So that's what I can say from my hands and the challenges that I have faced.
And for me, I'm a woman in IT. I mean, I run IT. I
All you
don't
had to do
know
was say that
IT,
sentence,
right? I'm
and
a
we can
woman in
laugh, right?
IT. I don't do the work myself. So how did I overcome that? And you know what? It's asking questions and really not being afraid to say I don't know it. I'm just gonna get your advice and just like ask people questions, ask them how to do something. And the men, it's not like they're trying to exclude us. It's just
No.
nobody's asked. And that's my biggest, I think, aha from all the fundraising and all the charity I've done is ask. Because if you don't ask, the answer is always no. So ask for what you want and you'll get it. And then the other thing that I've done is I've kind of put together my own women's forum so that I can bounce ideas and then we can share, and that way we share our
Great.
struggle and our challenge, and so that we can all be better for it, right? And women supporting women is what seems foreign. A lot of women don't believe that that's possible because they think it's all like we're not like that, but we are, and we just need to be surrounded by the right women that wants to lift us up instead of drag us down, right? And that's I think that's humanity in general, not just a women issue. So look for people that will lift you up and hang out with those people, learn from those people, ask for help. I think that's how I've overcome being a woman in IT, is not being afraid to ask for help and not being afraid to say I don't know something, because you don't have to know it.
Empower women, right?
Yes,
Mhm.
totally. The scholarly woman.
That's right. Thank you. Beautiful perspective, Catherine. Megan, you're smiling along with everything that Catherine was saying.
Absolutely. And I say that I was very uncomfortable taking the position. When I finally agreed to it, I was like, how can I make this better for myself? And how can I make it better for the individuals I support and the families that I support and even our community? And so I did start delving into being part of different groups that are run by women and different agencies that have a very strong female presence. And that has definitely helped me along the way to make me stronger in advocating for our individuals.
Ladies, like, what do you think? Can you isolate one lesson perhaps that you have learned in your journey to date that has been very powerful for you, that has created change in your life and created change in your community's life, that you can share with our listening audience today? What is that important lesson that maybe can help someone who is listening?
I think it's the ripple effect of our impact. Like,
Tell us
sometimes
more.
sometimes you get stuck in like, oh, I want to make this big change, right? And you're like, I can't make a big change. I'm just one person. And then that stops you from doing it. But now I feel like, okay, I see this. I want to make this big change. And let's start with me. What can I do to demonstrate this? Because you know what? Human, we learn from watching other, we learn from experiencing ourselves, because we can talk all we want, but we need to kind of do or see how it's done before we do it. And so if you want to see a change, be the change. Like, start with you,
Yeah.
and then influence like another person next to you and let them take that to their little world, their little circle, and influence. And I just feel like I just see these little circle pods just expanding, and we can, impact the world. But if we just think of I need to impact the world to do anything, we would stop right there, because our fear and our insecurity, it's gonna stop us. So I just really am aware of the ripple effect of we have an impact whether or not we want to or not. So make sure you watch your impact and make it positive, and then influence someone else next to you, and then let them do their thing in their little world. And I just think the world's better from that ripple effect.
And I can add to that. I totally agree with you, Catherine. Oh my God, here goes the to blow again. Yes, throughout
That's
my
what Laura
journey, I could really say and affirm to the saying that one woman can really change the world. You know what I mean? As you said, it comes with a ripple effect. You know, as long you it is possible, it is positive, and now you can tell my African accent. It is positive. All that get to watch you emulates, you know, and it's just like a torchlight that they keep carrying forward, you know. So, but it's just that everyone has what it takes, and every woman has what it takes to succeed. And truly, when you believe in yourself, you have what it takes to change the world. And just to say, it's that ripple effect later that you get to say, oh my goodness, I started this, and this person is doing way better, and it just
Mhm. Mhm.
keep moving forward. And of course, when we talk about bridging, because this is International Women's Day, bridging that inequality, which is not just a thing of the past, it is getting better. We have to say, we have to acknowledge that moving forward for our children to come, it is just, you know, asking our daughters to speak up, to be able to be bold enough, as you also said, you know, asking for help, you know what I mean? And not just being closed in that box that the society wants us to be. Thinking outside of the box, we need to empower our daughters, and of course, letting them understand that they have the ability as just one person to start the change that they wish to see in the world. And I can also say through myself and those of the hundreds that I've supported, that it just take one person to be the change that they want to see
Right.
in the world. Yeah.
So true, Tracy.
Yes.
Megan, hop in on this.
I think the biggest is that for women, never forget what you are capable of achieving. For me, I've learned in the last year, and even past, is the opportunities are there, and we never give ourselves the go ahead to get things done because we're always stepping back. And so never ever forget your possibilities and move forward.
I love all this positive energy, and I love, like, one of the things that I always say to my kids is don't be afraid to fail, be afraid not to try. So, reflecting back on all of your journeys, I just want you to think about this for a second. Um, is there something, a lesson that you have learned from that journey that perhaps if you could go back, would you do differently? Is there a lesson you have learned that you're like, if I could just have that do over, I would do this differently, and here's why? Oh,
I think
Tracy's
that
smiling.
I
She's
know.
like,
I just
oh.
love that. Lesson that I've learned as an immigrant woman, you know, when you come to Canada, there is this. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I know you guys can hear it in the background, and it's loud.
It's
Somebody
okay.
else on
It's
the go.
life. We
Can you hear?
we've got you.
Okay, perfect. You know, there is this ideology as an immigrant when you come to Canada, the community, of course, we belong to a community, and you get to hear a lot of this is how it's done, this is how it's done. You cannot really express yourself as a woman, especially depending on the country or the continent you're coming from. You're always being told what is right, either by your spouse, community member, people that have done it before, and you just pick up the vibe from different ways. So, and of course, I fell in that trap, and I wanted to be what I was not passionate about. You know what I mean? So, you know, I learned a lesson, and for me, moving forward, I still adore those lessons that I know that I've learned. Um, so, but I would say that the positive aspect of that is that through wanting to be what I wasn't passionate about, just to say, you know what, this is how, because I was told to, and then embracing getting to see what I was really created for, and deciding to follow that path has built me into the woman that I am. And of course, you not being afraid to say, just as what Carrie said, not being afraid to fail should be part of that plan. You know, you have to learn, especially when you don't have the experience. And I'm here today because I chose the path. I was willing to learn what it takes, and I'm still willing to learn. And that is taking me to where I am today. And that would have not
Yes.
been possible if I didn't choose to fail or choose to listen, and then
Mhm.
building my voice and creating my voice to say this is what I want to be, and nothing is going to stop that. Is making me having a better future, and not just for me, for the generation that I'm birthing into the world and I'm bringing into the world, which my kids now they can see, and they're also following that path to say, if mommy can do it, I can do it, and then that trickles down to the community that is also watching to say, if she can do it, I can do it. She was an immigrant, she's doing all this. I think I can do it. I have a lot of women that say that right now. Just say, Tracy, you're doing it and it's not easy. It's always going to be hard because you have to learn what it takes. You have to enjoy the process, but it is possible. And don't just be afraid to not try. You just have to keep trying until you get better at what you want to really do, especially when you're here in Canada.
Thank you for leaning into that the way that you did. Go ahead, Catherine. Unmute yourself.
I came to Canada when I was 10. And even though I only lived in Vietnam for 10 years, that being an immigrant and not having money and that security, like, war, running from a war-torn country and worrying about security, being secure, like it stopped me from taking a lot of risk as a business owner. Yes, I take risks, but I could take more. And I sometimes wonder, if I took the big risks, what will happen now? Because you don't know, like, not that I'm complaining about my life, but I know that my lack or my comfort level, my ability to just live in my little secure world has definitely impacted what I could have achieved. And I think that's, as I get older, I realize that I can be happily living this life, but then I'm not creating the impact that I want. And that's what I'm after now, is take more risks and dream of the impact and not just be comfortable. I think that's the lesson that I would learn, is take more risks and just go for it, even though it is scary. It's a lot of work, and I've done that. It's not like I'm afraid of work. It's more like I'm afraid of, what if you did get there? Well, how do you, like, your life, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So fear of success is just as huge as fear of failure. And sometimes it's better to live in the life that than to step forward to some unknown thing. And
yes, and that's why we're talking about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be my do-over if I were to come back, is take more risks.
Mm-hmm.
And as a woman, we are, I think, more risk averse than men. But I think for me, it's not, I don't know if it's a woman, it's definitely my background that has definitely made security a really big priority.
Yeah. Completely understandable. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Catherine. Megan?
I think for me, it's the empowering piece. Speak up, go forward, because what I have found, I never spoke up. I never talked. I was there at the table, but I'd listen. When I started speaking up over the years, I learned to do that. When you speak up, you are empowering other women around you to speak up as well. And at the end of the day, you may not have achieved anything for yourself on what you were trying to achieve today, but you actually have. You've achieved empowering other people in the room. And at the end of the day, if that's what it does for me, and I've empowered just one person, I've achieved something.
I'm going to end with this question. And there's a reason I asked this. We are supporting Kids Up Front here. So this one's in part for our kiddos, for our next generations, and also for holding space for talents and abilities that perhaps we take for granted. Here's the question. And this is why I'm going to give some background. I recently, because of my kiddos, watched all of the Marvel movies. all of them, like Captain America and Spider-Man and Black Widow, you name it. I watched them all. And they're amazing and they're empowering. And there's so many lessons embedded in there. I want to ask each one of you, because in order to make the Avengers, you had this team of people, and each one of those superheroes had a superpower. Each one of you has a superpower. I have one that's probably different from Tracy and Catherine and Megan's. Sometimes, oftentimes, we don't recognize them as superpowers. But when we come together, it's the change with our superpowers that we can create in our community. So, with all that in mind, I can even say my superpower is my ability to extract and share stories of others, because that's what connects community. And that's what makes others hear the story of this person and that person and say, oh, me too, me too. I did that. Maybe I'm powerful too. That's my superpower. And if you would have asked me 20 years ago, maybe I didn't realize that was a superpower in my communication skills, but it is. And I know it now. And I want our kiddos to realize this at a young age, that some talents and abilities that they may have and take for granted are what will carry them and be the change makers in their life and in their community. So in that spirit, I ask this question to each one of you. What is your superpower and how has it served you?
That's easy for me. It's resilience. I just have it in me and I roll with the punches. You know, if bad things happen, I'm like, okay, this is where we are. Let's move on to the next, right? It's not getting stuck in that hopelessness, because when I have resilience, I can demonstrate it in depending on myself and then encouraging others that, you know, this is how it is, but we can make it better. We can do better. And then just let things roll down my back next, right? And I didn't realize that it was a superpower until recently. And like you, Carrie, it's once I own that, I'm like, I can see example of where I've been resilient, and now just helping people who lacks that, right? Like our superpower, we can teach and share with others and learn about a power that we're not very good at,
Yes.
which is like focus is not my superpower.
But resilience is.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I will not forget that about you, Catherine. Thank you so much.
Okay, I will have to that. I was like, it was so close. I'm like, she took it off my mouth. I was gonna say that, right? For my superpower, yeah, it was so close to what I was
You
gonna
can
say.
still say that.
Yeah,
You might have a different attachment to it.
it's relentless.
Ah.
You know, I just feel I've always had it in me. When I want something, I go for it. You know, I will do whatever, not really whatever. I will do what I need to do to learn. I have this. I'm a dreamer, which I encourage everybody to dream, and I dream, and I go for it. And because of my relentlessness, I know I'm. One thing that I always tell my kids is, I don't think anyone can outdo me. You know, I have it, I'll go for it. And for me right now, my goal is to, when I saw that, when we talk about empowerment, I find out for a way for us to empower more women is for them to have a great career. You know, a woman that has a good career. I was able to find out that there's a way they behave. There is more empowerment. They speak more. And because I'm from a developing country, I have been able to travel to different countries and see, you know, when a woman does not have a good career, what they go through. And because I know that can be a solution, I feel that I'm going to be relentless about helping those women know the importance of, you know, fulfilling their passion or their dream of having a good career and how to advance in it. And because once they do that, they have more say in it. So because of that, I'm relentless to do whatever it takes to help a lot of women, thousands of women, be connected to the right career. And I also joke all the time that I don't have tattoos. If I ever decide to get a tattoo, I'm going to write it on my wrist to say relentless. And I'm going to ensure that I meet my goal in the next 5 years to get more women hired and advance their career.
Beautiful. Amen to that. Okay, Megan, unmute first.
I think mine would be the perseverance. I push through everything. Putting a plug in here for Kids Up Front. Kids Up Front has actually empowered me to be stronger for our community. They have provided opportunities for families for us that have created even more amazing things for these families. I just had a family contact me last week. They were at an event. Their child said their first words at the event. The child's 12. He's never said a word in 12 years, and he said his first words at an event. That makes me try harder to bring those opportunities to families and bring community, and see, it shows me how important community is.
Ladies, today was a rich conversation filled with learnings and lessons because of the way each one of you leaned into these questions and were very vulnerable in your answers. Our community is better, more connected, more resilient, and more relentless in so many ways because we have leaders like you, because of the fearless way in which each and every one of you lead and the impact that you've had not only on your organizations, but on all of your volunteer pursuits and the community around you. On behalf of everybody in Edmonton and beyond, I thank each one of you for the way that you contribute to making our community and our world a better place. Catherine, Tracy, Megan, happy International Women's Day to you. Thank you for inspiring me and empower me to be the best that I can be. Thank you for showing up the way that you did today.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you, Carrie.
And on that note, Maria, I hand it back to you.
Wow, I am really feeling the power in this virtual room. I hope everyone is feeling as inspired and as grateful as I am to have been a part of this conversation. From all of us at Kids Up Front, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us in conversation with these wonderful women and community leaders. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Megan. And thank you, Tracy, for being our special guests. Thank you, Carrie Dahl, for being our conversational guide and for creating such a welcoming and safe space for conversation. And of course, we'd like to thank TD for making our virtual neighborhood possible. If you liked this conversation and would like to be part of our virtual neighborhood again, we have several recorded events available on our national website, and we'll be releasing a few more this year, so keep a lookout. Please go to kidsupfront.com for more information and to access our program. Thank you, everyone, once again. We look forward to virtually gathering once more. And in the meantime, stay safe and have fun.